Hello and welcome to episode 98 of the Alfa Romeo Driver Podcast, brought to you by the Alfa Romeo Owners Club. I'm Guy Swarbrick, and for today's roundtable episode, I have the usual suspects with me. Club Chairman John Griffiths, management team members Kirsty Hodson and David Faithful, and club manager Nick Wright. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Guy.
So it's that time of year again, and National Alfa Day is just around the corner, so we're doing our usual preview. David, I know you did a preview in Notiziario, so people will have some idea of some of the things that are going to happen and some of the things that are going to be different. But even since Notiziario, some things have moved on, haven't they?
They have. Well, of course, a real feature of National Alfa Day is not just that we have best part of 1,500 Alfa Romeos on display, but people get to book a slot on the track as well. So we run a series of what we call parade laps. They started off, when we first started doing them, we sort of bimbled around the track, a bit nervous of people's liability and what have you. They have got progressively quicker.
Thanks to the white spider cornering on its doors ahead of them.
Yes, that does help. So we tend to run a, in quotes, parade lap at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. So for those who enjoy a spirited drive around a pretty safe track, we have around 8 or 9, I think, track sessions. So whatever Alfa Romeo you have, we have a track slot for you. Now, they are filling up fast, and I think a couple of them have filled up, actually. I think some of the very popular cars like Mitos, Giuliettas, Giulias, 916s. So we will look at seeing if we can squeeze a few more on. But those track spots, everybody has to complete an online form, and we'll be emailing all ticket holders who booked a slot ahead of time. They must fill out the online form. And when they arrive at National Alfa Day, first thing they should do is go up to our club gazebo and get their wristband, because this year, to avoid queuing to get on the track, we are simply asking the track marshals to check that the people in the queue have got a wristband, and they'll get a wristband by going up to the club gazebo ahead of their track slot, and we will simply tick off that they have signed the liability. So the track parade laps, very exciting this year. There's a couple of interesting slots on there. I think we might later on in the podcast talk about some of the vintage and pre-war cars we're hoping to get on display. But at 1 p.m, there is a pre-war parade lap. And if you don't get to see it, you'll certainly hear it wherever you are in Bicester. So, yeah, that's definitely something to look forward to.
And I mentioned the white spider. We won't be having the white spider as a pace car this year. Are we allowed to share what's going to be happening with the pace car, or will that be a surprise?
Well, it will be a surprise because we're not sure what car it'll be. However, we have just this week finished a number of agreements with Alfa Romeo UK. We can share some of that. So they are providing a pace car. We're not sure precisely which one it is, but that will be a very exciting addition at the front of every parade lap. More exciting, though, is that they will be coming along with new Alfa Romeo Juniors. And I do use the word juniors in the plural sense. So obviously, we are the last stop on the UK roadshow of the Junior. And we've been expecting and had agreed with Alfa Romeo that they would provide that junior that has been doing the tour of the UK. It's become something more than that, so we can't give away all the details. However, there won't just be that one junior that people have seen on the roadshow. There will be multiple juniors. It's very exciting. Alfa Romeo UK will be there with the whole team. They can answer any questions that people have. You will get up close and personal with Alfa Romeo Juniors at National Alfa Day, and it will be something to behold, and it will be very exciting on the day, I can assure you. We can't give all the details away. However, we are confident that we will be the very first UK showing of some of those cars. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And will other people get the chance to drive it? I was very lucky to drive one a week or so ago in Bristol, which you'll be able to read about in the next issue of the magazine. But
yeah, so what we're doing is there's going to be an opportunity for a select number of club members who have truthfully expressed a genuine desire and an interest in purchasing a junior. They will get to drive the junior off-site. We will have a professional driver there who will be giving test drives in the 156 bhp Junior. What we're not going to do, though, is just open it up to everybody and say, look, come and have a drive in a Junior, because I think it's important for us and our relationship with Alfa Romeo that the types of people who get to drive it are those who are the types of people who genuinely love the Junior and would really like to own one and would potentially, subject to test drive and so on, potentially place an order. So it's going to be limited. We will publish details of that on our forum, and there'll be a smallish number of test drives. It's not just going to be going round and round Bicester all day long for whoever rocks up and asks to have a go in it. It'll be for prospective customers, and I think that's a fair deal we've done with Alfa Romeo. They are allowing us to give test drives, take it off site, drive it around Bicester in the local area for prospective customers, and I think that's fair.
Yep. And there's a few things that are the same this year, aren't there? So our friends from Pirelli, I think, are repeating their rather generous tyre offer.
Oh, yes. And that is, look, this is an incredible deal with Pirelli, because obviously we have the partnership agreement with Pirelli where they give fantastic, money back offer when you buy 2 or 4 Pirelli tyres from a registered dealer. And loads of members use that offer. Pirelli are also coming along with their Formula One simulator, and that's always popular at National Alfa Day. So Pirelli will be there. And yet again, just like last year, they've offered up a prize to be chosen at random from members' National Alfa Day tickets for a full set of Pirelli tyres up to about £1,500, I think it is. So one lucky member who's got a ticket and is there will be selected by Pirelli, and they will be able to get themselves a full set of new Pirelli tyres for whatever car they have, all courtesy of Pirelli.
Which is fantastic. And as I said, that's similar to what they did last year. One thing that's very different is so big and different, they had to put a roof on it, Nick.
Yes, one of the changes we're adding to the event this year for the 60th, those who've been before, the show zone down one side is a big green hangar. Not only have we hired the outside of it this year, but we've hired the inside. Obviously, with the nature of an aeroplane hangar, it's quite large inside. So we've got plenty of cars, space to put the cars. But we're putting some display cars in there, a selection of Alfas throughout the ages, which are being selected by the help of our registrars. The show and shine and concourse competitions will be moved inside this year for a change. The concourse being organised this year by John Timms and Andrew Stevens, and the show and shine by Viv Stevens. Those competitions are still open at the moment, so if anyone wants to enter, you need to complete a form and register beforehand. Those are available through the National Alfa Day website page or straight from the forum, or if all else fails, you can email me and I'll send one through to you. So.
And nice having the hangar there, whether it's raining or whether it's just too hot.
Well, it is. We had the comments before when it was very hot. There wasn't enough shade for everyone, so that will act as shade. It'll also act, of course, if the weather's inclement, we can move some stuff inside. First of which would be my gazebo, of course.
I'll just and the club shop, perhaps. But I would say on the hangar that the bottom end, there's some absolutely gigantic doors that will be open, so we should have a nice flow of air through during the day. And there's just a relatively small pedestrian access from the show zone, but we'll have signage there to encourage people to go through it. But it should be a really nice addition this year, I think. Are we going to park anything outside the hangar that's particularly special so that people don't forget it's there? I'm sure we can do some things like that, yeah. And there'll be decent signage too, and a 80-foot long Pirelli truck as well, I think, with an arrow on the front of it. So if we've moved Show and Shine and Concours into the hangar, what are we doing with the display area that we used for that last year?
So because we're using the hangar, that does free up lots of space for us in the show zone. And we're going to fill that space with Ragazzi, with Modified, with Alpha Female, lots of representatives from those groups. And we're also going to have what we could describe as a buyer's alley. We're going to have lots of trade stands there. We're going to have for sale cars, which is a new thing for this year. Lots of cars that people can look at and decide if they want to buy. We're also having a dealer area as usual. And we know that Unity, who are past sponsors for this event, are going to be there, as well as some other dealers as well. So we're going to fill space very well. It's going to be exciting. So there's a little bit of juggling around there, John. I think there's some
some changes to the rest of the site as well.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a move around so things feel fresh. For example, we're likely to move the band from its normal spot across the central show zone area, so they're in a bit more shade. Same for our deck chairs that we're hiring in. But that gives us a lovely area then to put displays on and to space out some of the other supporters of the event, like Auto Italia and Chris Knott Insurance. And we're also going to then have a super space for some of the absolute stars of the show, which are going to be the pre-war and special cars that are being assembled for the 60th anniversary.
Now, I know with the pre-war cars in particular, but quite a few of those special rarer cars, there are always circumstances that change and reasons why a particular car might not turn up on the day. But any highlights amongst some of the cars that we're expecting to be there?
Had a good hour's conversation with Carol Corliss, our magnificent vintage registrar, as it were, VSCC representative lady, and she's been working her socks off with many of her contacts through that part of the club, and we promised some amazing stuff. At the moment, I won't go through them in absolute detail, but we're looking at things like 8C Monzas, 1750s, TZ, which obviously is a post-war machine, SZ in racing trim, T33 Daytona, which would be just amazing to hear and see, and a selection of other 8Cs. Plus, we've also got promise of a concourse winner that's a 2.5 Villa d'Este that actually won the concourse at Villa d'Este in Italy. So, this is just tremendous stuff. And
it really is a T33 Daytona. It's not Viv's 4C with stickers on.
No, definitely not. Although that'll be there, we hope, somewhere in the car park. But no, a T33 proper Daytona. It's Rick Hall's car that we hope will be all finished and ready and prepared to come over. So obviously there's, as you say rightly, Guy, there's always risk around these fabulous machines being available actually on the day, but the promise is spectacular. And not only will we see them lined up and there'll be super photo opportunities there, then they also have that magical time for the parade as well, when we'll actually hear and see them churning around that track for a good 10-15 minutes, which should be superb.
And for me anyway, one of the highlights, I think 2 years ago, was the Alfa Sud 50th anniversary and the fantastic display of Suds we had. There's a couple of anniversaries this year as well, aren't there, that we're going to try and celebrate?
That's right. So we're going to have a special area for the 17th anniversary of the Giulietta Sprint. That's likely to be on the classic zone side, but in a special area. And then on the show zone side, we want to put the Alfetta GTs that are celebrating the 50th anniversary. So that'll include, the earliest 74 1600s right through to the GTB 6s. And Alex Dupe, our registrar for the 116 series cars, is going to be, he's already been in touch with around 20 to 25 members that are promising the cars. So we could end up with more than that too. We'll, of course, be filling that zone up with other special cars too. So I think it's going to be a really great centerpiece. And then obviously you walk past that into the classic Alfa area around those brilliant buildings and the green avenues and so on, and there's a load of features there for people to enjoy too. We were let down that the Wrigley Monkey pub is actually closed, but there is a new one associated with Skyways Gin, so there will be a bar on site as well as an absolute massive catering outlets again too in the outer field area. And the popular green coffee shop wagon will be all open too. And
the classic display areas, that's still the same age cutoff as the last couple of years?
Yes, we're going to use kind of 1995-ish. So obviously we can't fit 96 on because of the massive popularity of the 916 series Spiders and GTVs that could probably fill it on their own. But things like Alfa 164s, 155s, all of those go in the zone along with the 105s and earlier cars. So it'll look great. And again, we're going to move it around. So you won't just be going back to Bicester in the same old spots. So we know the bits that work. We want to repeat those, but we want to freshen it up at the same time. So as we move out into the main airfield area, we'll be just changing the rows around a bit for the modern Alfas and the modern classics. we've had more and more feedback that people like a degree of randomness. So that you won't necessarily just have a block of GTs or just have a block of 159 saloons. There could be a bit of a mixture within that kind of time frame of cars. But we're going to make sure that it feels fresh out in the outfield too.
So we talked about some special cars. Lots of people, when they talk about the club, will say, the biggest thing about the club over the time they've been in and throughout the 60 years is the people. And we've got some special people coming along as well, haven't we?
We certainly have, yes. And obviously 60 years of the club, that's just a tremendous anniversary to celebrate. And we're going to be doing our best to get hold of a number of the earliest originals, as it were, that we will interview on stage and have a chat with. And we certainly have a couple of characters coming, for sure. One being Ron Smith, who's an extremely low number, now lives in New Zealand.
Friend of the podcast, Ron Smith.
He certainly is. And Ron's going to be along, so we'll have a good chat with him and his perspective of Alfa in the UK. And maybe he can give us a bit of a reflection of 50 years of the New Zealand AROC as well.
I think he's going to manage to get to both celebrations this year, which is I'm very jealous
remarkable.
of.
That is remarkable. We've also got a member number 809, which is one of the early ones, Ian Dodd. We've also got a good friend of the club, David Gibbons, or known as Gibbo on the forum and so on, who was a very early member of Alfa GB before it became Alfa UK. And he's assembling a number of his dealer friends from back in the day. So that's another group of people we'll have a chat with too.
I was fortunate enough to meet some of those in less happy circumstances at John Dooley's memorial event. And they're quite a bunch, the old dealer group.
I'm sure they could probably occupy the mic for a good time on the day, but we'll have some fun with them. And we'll be talking as well to the guys from Alfa UK. We hope that a number of the management team will be along. We've already got word that several are, so we'll be talking to them about the new models, what's happening in the future as well. We'll try and squeeze as much out of them as possible for our members on the day, like we normally do. And we'll be speaking to some of the dealers as well about their perspective of the world and a number of other owners of special cars. I think that's important. It'll be great seeing those wonderful classic cars, but we'll be speaking to Carol, and Carol will be speaking to a number of those owners too that are there on the day. So this will all be alongside our wonderful Italian band, of course, but not at the same time, but using the same PA. So, but that'll all add to that.
That's a good way of making sure it's not at the same time.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Give us the mic.
Yeah. That's it. So we'll have 4 slots for those. Plus, of course, around 3:00, we've got the big prize giving for the show and shine and the concourse. And
we've got some people coming from further afield. Well, not as far as New Zealand, but some people coming from elsewhere in Europe, Nick.
We have indeed. That's off the back of the section secretaries and registrars meeting last October. We've invited loads of overseas clubs, basically. Had replies from some of the nearer France, Holland, etc. You'd expect. But we're having, I think, about 10 cars coming over from Slovenia.
Fantastic.
They're just having a little convoy over. They've got a support van with them as well.
Great stuff.
Give me some competition this year.
We'll find them a good slot, Nick, I think, as well. But maybe get the vans side by side. But we'll keep the Slovenian cars together. Certainly, I'm sure we can find a good slot for them.
Well, and I'm going to be there with the drones again. I say drones plural because there's a couple of changes there. So I'll do some of the same things that I did the last time, but we've got a faster drone that should be better able to track cars that are operating on the circuit. And I've also got a first-person view drone that's nicely padded to operate indoors. So I'm going to try and use that for some flying around the hangar and maybe for a sort of bird's eye view of what it looks to do a lap round the circuit. Obviously, we could do that by sticking a GoPro on the front of a car, but much more fun to do it in a drone.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, we tried that in Wales, if I remember rightly, Guy.
We did, yeah. We got some good shots of the road. Good. Anything else? That's an awful lot, but anything else that's going on that we haven't mentioned?
We haven't mentioned the kids yet. Kids under 16s are all free. They do need a ticket this year, but you order a free ticket when you buy your own adult one. But again, all the entertainment for those, the go-karts, ride-on toys, face painting, those are all free to use inside. So keep all the family happy.
Yeah. Always goes down well, that.
I was speaking to the Mr. Face Painting lady, and she did lose count at some point. that last year she did something in the region of 140 faces painted.
Brief.
And about 30 of those were adults.
I was just going to ask how many were adults.
I just hope she's going to take lots of sort of reds and greens and whites.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good idea. Yeah. One other thing just to mention, two things actually. One is the Alfa Romeo Championship. They've mobilised lots of the racing cars and they have a track slot as well. So that's both great to hear and to see.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing to point out, just for the parents and less carefree among us, we again have the fire crew and team of paramedics who are on site and on standby. We haven't really had to use them for anything in particular thus far. But if you are bringing your children and so on, you can be assured that the paramedics will be nearby, the go-karts and the ride-on toys and anything that your kids might graze their knees on. All of those toys we always put on the grass. But if there are any accidents or, God forbid, any fire, we have fully equipped professional crews on site for everyone's safety.
Fantastic. Just on the boring logistics, and I know everybody will be told when they book their tickets, but what time should people start arriving on Sunday?
Well, gates open at 9 a.m. We have the same as previous years, and I think I'm right in saying that it's a council requirement. We have a third party managing the road signage, road entry, and initial car guidance and ticket checking. But yes, 9 a.m. is the official gate opening, and the gates close at 5. What we really want to avoid is hundreds of cars turning up at 8 thinking they're going to get in soon or first and what have you. Because we have third parties on the gates and because of council limitations, the gates do not open until 9 a.m. So there's plenty of road signage, but there is not off-road parking for you to wait. But from 9 a.m, gates will be open. Typically, certainly the last 2 years that we've been there, almost everyone's in by 10:15, something like that. There's often a few late stragglers, but yeah, aim to arrive around the Bicester Heritage area for about 9 a.m. Not much earlier, but not much later either.
And don't forget that it's pre-booked tickets only. There's no payment on the gate at all.
Yeah, good point, Nick.
Slightly out of our hands. If you turn up without a ticket, they will send you away. It is not us on the front gate. And they're quite strict about that, quite rightly. So yes, do not arrive without a ticket. Please go online and buy a ticket. Brilliant value and so much to see and do on the day. It's just a fabulous day.
And are we limited on numbers, or can we keep selling tickets until we fill Oxfordshire?
We're limited to what's within our event plan that we've agreed with the council, which is plenty. So, yeah.
Plenty.
Yeah.
So
20,000.
Hopefully we'll keep selling right up to the Saturday night, but as we've managed the last couple of years. I think one important thing, and I may have said it in a past podcast, we've mentioned some stunning cars that are going to be there and the show and shine and so on and so on, but it's really important for people to remember every single Alfa Romeo there, you're part of the show. You're bringing your car to a show, not just to a car park to then wander off somewhere. You're part of the display, and that's brought out, with all the photographs we see and the drone footage and so on. So it doesn't matter what you're in. If it's got a cross and serpent on the front, we're interested in it, yeah? And people will be. So shine them up, come and enjoy it. You're part of the show. You're not just coming to a show, yeah?
And if it hasn't got a cross and serpent on the front, it'll be
there is an area for them about a mile and a half away. No, there is an area for them.
Field of Shame, it's called.
The Field of Shame. Yeah.
Look, it's a really important point because we do have a lot of people who love Alfa Romeos but don't happen to have one on the road right now.
Yes.
Are between cars. So do not let that put you off. If you want to come to National Alfa Day in a non-Alfa Romeo, you are very welcome.
Yeah.
You'll just have a slightly longer walk.
Yeah, simple as that. Well put, David.
Good. Well, if that's everything that we know of that's happening, just to round things off, I'd like to ask you all what you're most looking forward to. Kirsty, what do you think is going to be the highlight for you?
I'm really looking forward to seeing the Junior again. I saw it at Goodwood and on the tour, and it's a lovely car.
Good. John?
I think that the pre-war machines and the rarities, because I didn't manage to make it to Goodwood for the last few years, actually, which is a great opportunity to sometimes see those cars, but can't wait to see them. The key thing is as well, hearing them going around the track as well. I love the parade laps. And if at all possible, I want to get my own car around there to enjoy that as well.
Yeah, you've stolen mine, because I was going to say, even if I don't see them, the one thing I want to do is to hear the pre-war cars going around the track.
Absolutely.
Nick?
Away from the cars, it's the people for me. I like to put a lot of work into the day, and it's just seeing all the sort of happy people enjoying themselves, looking at the cars. That's, for me, that's the side of it.
It's a good job, really, because we don't let you leave the tent, so you don't really see any of the cars.
That's right. Oh, yeah. I've adapted.
David?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the juniors. I've sort of fallen in love with them, to be honest. And I've done so much research and so much nerding up about running an electric car. I'm extremely confident that I could run an electric car. Plus the Mitos, of course. And I know that sounds nerdy because I'm the Mito guy, but there's nothing better than seeing 50 Mitos lined up. And funnily enough, my Mito race car, which I recently, very sadly, sold, the new owner is using it as a race car. It was competing at Knock Hill the other week. And he's bought tickets and he's bringing it down. It has a slightly different livery now, but I shall look forward to seeing that again.
Magic.
Yeah, so Junior, Mito, obviously all the pre-war stuff is going to be really exciting, but the one bit of feedback I always remember from last year was a young family brought their 2 young kids and they intended to stay for an hour because they thought the kids would be bored out of their minds, and they stayed for about 6 hours, loved it, and their kids were constantly on the ride-on toys. They all had their faces painted. So I think this is a really good opportunity for people to bring their kids, bring their grandkids, just make a day out of it. It's a really nice day. And so I do love seeing, although my kids are much older now, I love seeing young families sort of starting out, bringing their children along, enjoying Alfa Romeos and having a really good day of it.
I can't think of a better way to end it than that. Thank you, everybody. And I look forward to, I'm actually off on holiday in 48 hours and arrive back just in time for National Alfa Day. So I will look forward to seeing you all then.
We'll see you there. Thanks, Guy.
Bye.
See you there.
All.
Bye for now.
Well, that's it for this episode. I'm not sure we actually mentioned it, but if we didn't, National Alfa Day is on Sunday, the 18th of August at Bicester Heritage. And we're very much looking forward to seeing you all there. We'll be back in 4 weeks' time on Sunday, the 1st of September. Episode 99 will be available to download from 1:30 p.m. from iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Podcast Addict, YouTube, the club's website, and everywhere else good podcasts are found. Until then, stay safe.